Oh, yeah. 1-800-449-8255. And welcome back to Little Sharky's Underground Garage. This ain't Little Steven, you guys. It's Little Sharky. And I'm going to talk about a band and an album, but not so much an album. These guys recorded a bunch of songs and they're just all over the place. Back in the 60s on singles, or sometimes they would win a contest and get studio time or something. But of course, I'm talking about the Canadian band, Underground Garage, done better than the American underground garage bands. I hate to say that, but the Haunted, what a band. And, these guys probably influenced like the Stooges and Iggy Pop more than those other 1966 bands. Now, this album that they did actually came out in 1967, which of course was the psychedelic year, not so much a underground garage year. I'm sure there in the first half of 1967 there was a lot of that hangover and holdover from 66 being recorded and all, but of course the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper, and just all this amazing psychedelia came out, and with acid and weed and all that, and it just put a death nail in the coffin of those great 1966 bands. And unfortunately, the Haunted from Canada was one of those bands that tried to hang on as long as they could through the years 68, 69, 70, before they finally were just gone, for good in 1971. And it's a real bummer when I think about the Haunted, because what this band could have done, or some version of this band, had they kept going, but, they probably just would have become a punk rock band. But we'll never know now. Those were those times, 1968 to 1972. You either made it or you broke it. There's a bunch of bands that didn't survive that time. And sometimes I think maybe the Who themselves would not have survived after Tommy. But then they came out with like Baba O'Reilly and Won't Get Fooled Again and Who's Next. And they just totally reinvented and the band and the sound, and a complete makeover of the Who. And there were a bunch of bands, like the Turtles, and that just couldn't do that, and they could never take it to the next level. And I'm sure the Haunted were that way too, and probably they didn't have the money to record new songs and all that stuff too. You got to factor that in. But what a band this was, you guys, in 65, 66, 67 when they did this album. A little behind the times. To put out an album in 1967 that sounded like that underground garage American rock, that punk rock spirit from 66 was dated, it was out of date, but still, I loved it. And it all kind of made a little comeback after psychedelia in 1968, but it wasn't the same. It was a lot more hard rocking. You had Steppenwolf and all that stuff, and the Who got heavier, and all these bands just got heavier. 1968, 69. There was something special about 1966 that it was a cultural revolution that could never be duplicated again. Bands have tried over the years. Even me, Clark the Shark, I've tried, but there was only one 1966. And you guys, quite frankly, there was only one Haunted. This band, whose name has been stolen by some heavy metal band in recent times. And that's a bummer, because to me, the Haunted, there's only one Haunted, and there's such a fabulous band from the 60s. How can you, whoever you are, heavy metal band, you guys, you can't call yourself the Haunted. That would be like a band calling themselves the Stooges or the Count Five or, 13th Floor Elevators or calling yourself the Standells. You just don't do it, man. You don't call yourselves the Who. There's only one Who, and there's only one Pete Townsend, and there's only one Haunted, you guys. This band, these guys from Canada, the album's incredible, garage, hard-hitting, melodic, really underground sounding, pinpoint. It really encapsulates that 1966 thing, the album. But the one song I gotta talk about by these guys, it is not on their one and only album, you guys. It's a song called I Can Only Give You Everything, which of course is one of the greatest songs in the history of rock music. What a song. I mean, I'm not even sure if the Haunted wrote it, but their version of it is fucking killer. I know other bands have covered it. I Can Only Give You Everything. I've tried to play it, me, Clark the Shark and GE, but I can't do it like the Haunted at 1-800-449-8255. What a bunch of great songs this band has, you guys. But, man, the Haunted. It's just, I want to talk about the band members, but if this was just a special magical time, it's almost irrelevant and irreverent to talk about the Haunted because these guys are just legends no matter who they are. It's one of those things where they've just got two of the greatest songs in rock and roll, and they're so authentic. I hate to say this, but so much better than the 1966 American bands. Maybe not the Music Machine. I mean, man, you guys, that one band might be better than like the Haunted, but not by much, you guys. But this bluesy, like rock and roll, like thing, man, that's just one of a kind. The Haunted. 1966, 67. There's no stars. There's no rating, you guys. Nobody even really knows about this band. I mean, me, Clark the Shark, I know about them because I'm into that underground 1966 thing, and just, man, unfortunately, the album has a lot of covers on it. There's some Stones, Arthur Lee and Love covers, that are everywhere. But, oh man, the 1, 2, 3 song is so fucking killer. One of the greatest songs flat out ever recorded. And the album's killer, you guys. I hate it when bands do covers. I wish we had an album of all Haunted originals. It was never going to happen, though, you guys, because psychedelia came along, and this band had to adapt to that, and they didn't. They didn't do another album. They just did the one in early '67, and had they done a psychedelic album, like in later part of 1967, it would have been fucking killer, the Music Machine kind of adapted to psychedelia, And their second album is killer. Their first album, of course, is a classic. But the 1966 garage bands that did adapt to 1967, and acid and all that, some of them made pretty fucking killer psychedelic albums. And I know The Haunted would have, oh man, it would have been fucking awesome. I could hear The Haunted maybe doing a song as killer as like the Electric Prunes or something. Like, it's just a bummer when bands don't have money and, the labels go bankrupt, and it sucks, man. I'm bummed about this band, The Haunted, because of what they could have been in time. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255. But I love that garage 1966 sound. Little Steven loves it, but I'm Little Sharky. Forget Little Steven right now. You're going to get the viewpoints from Little Sharky about The Haunted. A band that I like more than the Music Machine, more than the Standells, more than the Count Five, maybe more than the Yardbirds, for those two songs are so driving, so heavy. It's a bummer they're from Canada, because had these guys been from America, they probably would have made it much bigger. I'm sure like Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, a lot of people from Canada love this band. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255. But if you're 23 years old right now, buy The Haunted. Get a hold of that album if you can. It's very expensive. I know there's rip-off phony acetates out there of the album. But if you can get it on CD, buy the album. And I'm sure there's a greatest hits or compilation or those type of CDs that throw every song. I Can Only Give You Everything, and all the songs from the album all on one CD. Buy it. Young people from today, learn about The Haunted. If you're 20 years old and you were born in 2003, buy that album. And you tell them the Clark the Shark sent you. 1-800-449-8255 from the fabulous Clark the Shark Show, the golden EIB Sharkerphone. Not a microphone, you guys. It's a Sharkerphone. And you just got the word, the testimony, the gospel about The Haunted. Buy that album if you can, man. And buy all that 1966 bluesy, atmospheric, garagey, grungy, fuzz tone rock. It's such an incredible year. 1966. If you're going to get into 1967 psychedelia, the pop psychedelia is good, but the underground psychedelia is even better if you can find it. Look for it, people. And you tell them you heard it from Sharky, 1-800-449-8255, right here on the Clark the Shark Show. And I'm out of here. Peace.